Bonjour! Hello! Kamusta? I'm Keesha Reyes from BSHM 2, and for today, I'll be demonstrating on how to make a buko pie without using an oven. So today, we're going to make a buko pie which has two crusts, or what we call double crust. Double crust is a pie that has a crust on the bottom and also on top. And the filling that we're going to use is a cooked filling, wherein we're going to cook the filling first, and it's going to cook along with the crust itself. So first, I'll be doing the filling first. So before we start, I'll just put my PPE first, like face mask. So I have my face mask here. And also gloves. So I have here is a food grade gloves, not the plastic ones. These are matte and it's not very slippy. Alright, we are all set. So first things first, for the filling, I'll be showing the ingredients to you. So we have here is the meat of our buko, white sugar as a sweetener, cornstarch and all-purpose flour as our thickener, salt for flavor enhancement and to balance the sweetness, also milk, buko juice, and vanilla extract for added flavor, and it gives that nice aroma, and eggs. Eggs will serve as our structure for our pie. So first, I'm going to add all the dry ingredients in a separate bowl. So in goes my flour, my cornstarch, my sugar, my salt. So I'm going to mix all of it together first. Alright. Now I'm going to incorporate my buko juice. As I'm going to mix this, I'm going to take a saucepan. I'm going to place in our butane. I'm going to set in a low heat, and I'm going to warm up our milk here. Alright, so while this is warming up, I'm going to mix this mixture. So why are we warming up the milk? Why not just incorporate it all together in this bowl? Well, since this mixture has some eggs and we're going to make a cooked filling, you want to temper the egg first before you're going to cook it in a stovetop. It's because once you added the mixture without tempering the eggs, you will eventually will have a scrambled. It's somewhat similar to a scrambled egg mixture that has a lot of lumps in it. So I see everything is mixed. Now it's the time I'm going to add my vanilla extract. Vanilla also gives color to your mixture. Since you're using a vanilla extract that is, the brown one, it gives added color. But there's also different kinds of variants of vanilla where you can use the vanilla bean or the vanilla strands of it. And also there's a vanilla extract which is clear. So if you're making desserts that has a whitish color or a clear one, vanilla transparent or clear vanilla is perfect like that. So I have here my eggs. So make sure you want to crack your eggs separate in a bowl, so you will eventually not get those rotten ones. We don't want that. Right? My first egg, I'm going to mix that. Now my second egg. Alright, so let me first check our milk here if it's warm enough. I guess it's in the right temp, so I'm just going to turn off the stove. And tempering is, you want to gradually add the warm milk to your mixture to not get the mixture shocked with the heat. So I'm going to add, I guess, 1/4 cup of it first. And continue mixing it. So the heat or the milk will incorporate. Next, continue stirring. Alright. Since you're mixing it too much, you'll see here that there's a lot of bubbles. So we're going to set this up. So I'm going to take my stove again and I'm going to turn it on. So the fire should be medium-low heat. And I have here a pan again with a lid. And I'm going to add in this mixture. But first, I'm going to strain it to remove the bubbles and also the egg strands and maybe unmixed flour or cornstarch. So as you can see here, that we have a lot of lumps of, I say, full cornstarch or flour. Also, the egg strands of it has come in. So I'm going to take a whisk and just, you want to continue stirring this because we're going to let the starch activate. So it's going to be thick. So you want to mix it all thoroughly. Because the filling will cook and it will become thick. You do not want to cook it in a high fire because it will eventually, the mixture will kind of be shocked to the heat. So you want to cook it slowly and mixing it continuously. So, alright. So, I've turned off the heat and just continually mixing it until all the remaining heat of the pan will cook the mixture. So just continue mixing it. As you can see, it's actually getting thick. You just want to mix it. Alright, so it's the time. I'll add my buko here, my buko meat, and just mix it all up. Let it just cook around, I guess, 2 or 3 minutes. Also, it's the perfect time to add our butter. Our butter will actually make the filling kind of shiny, and also it adds this buttery and creamy flavor to our pie. So I just actually switched to my rubber spatula here. Always scrape the bottom so it will not stick. Alright, you can turn off the heat and just cook it with its remaining heat from the pan. Alright, so this is actually our filling now, as you can see. So we can actually let this cool, set this aside and cool. We can transfer it in another bowl, and once it is fully chilled in room temp, you can cover it with plastic wrap and store it in the refrigerator. So I'll be doing that. I'll be setting this aside and I'll prepare for the crust. Okay, so now let's proceed in making our crust. So earlier we made the filling. So this is it. You can see it's thick, and we're going to let this set aside until it's fully cool. And now for the crust, we have here our flour, of course. So I have a bowl here, so I'm going to add our flour. By the way, I'm using all-purpose flour. And also salt. Salt will enhance it enhances the flavor of our pie. It balances the savoriness and also sweetness of it. Next, I'll be adding our butter. Make sure it is actually cold. The temperature of your butter should actually be cold, and also soft to cold texture or temperature of it. Now I have here a pastry blender. So this is actually what I'm going to use to blend the flour and the butter together. So in my bowl here, I have a kitchen towel, so the bowl won't actually slip out of my hands. So we actually want to make a flaky dough. So flaky dough, you want chunks of butter left in there. So I'm just going to incorporate a little bit more. Alright, I guess we're okay. By the way, this pastry blender is actually cold. Why? I put it in the refrigerator for a couple of minutes. Why did I do that? It's because I want to I want to remain the temperature of the butter so it won't melt, because metal can conduct heat by just adding friction. So what we are doing is we're blending the butter and flour. So it means in using the pastry blender, so means we're adding friction to it. Friction to it, which means we're creating heat. Not totally very hot, but it can be kind of warm that can make our butter cold back into its room temp. Now, of course, I have an egg here. Always crack your egg in a separate bowl. I'm going to add it here. Same using a pastry blender. Just combine everything. Also, some cold water. Of course, we're going to use cold water because we want to remain the temperature of the butter to be cold. So you want to add this gradually. I can actually see that it is slowly coming together. Okay, let me check first. Okay. I guess we need more water, but it is slowly coming together. I guess I'll first put 1/4 of this water. Okay. Let's combine it again. I guess the 1/4 water is enough. You want to stop adding liquid when you actually see it forming by just touching it together. So using my rubber spatula, I'm going to gather everything and let's see if it actually forms into a one big dough. Okay, let's try using our hands. So I have here my gloves. We don't actually want to knead this. Just you want to combine everything together and form it into one whole pie dough. I am not kneading this, just combining everything. Alright? Make sure to scrape all of those who are sticking in the side of the bowl. And here is our pie dough. We've actually managed to form it in a one whole pie dough. As you can see, here it is. There's no left. So luckily we didn't pour everything together, or else it will be gonna be a sticky kind of pie dough, so we do not want that. So that's actually one of the things that you want to remember, to just gradually add your water. So I have here a one big bowl of pie dough. So you want to, you can see here that it still has, you can see here that it still has those bits and chunks of butter particles, and this is actually going to be a flaky pie dough. So we want this to divide it into, I have here a dough cutter. Alright, just going to set this aside. Now I have here a cling wrap or a plastic wrap. Okay. So I'm going to take the half of this, just going to form it into a bowl, a disc, or we call this shape a disc actually. And just cover this. I have here my scissors. There's a first one. And let's take cling wrap again. Place it in my table. I'm going to take my second dough, and you want to form it into a disc again. Right? Cover it with cling wrap. Scissors. Alright, so we've managed to make 2 discs of pie dough, and you want to chill this in the refrigerator for at least 20 to 30 minutes. Alright, so here is our crust. I've remove them from the fridge. So we're going to roll our crust now. So I'm going to take this big one. I have here my silicone mat for rolling. I'm going to take this one. Separate this aside. So I have here my all this rolling pin, and just I'm going to lightly dust my work surface. Alright, and just gently roll this thing. You want to move your pie dough as much as possible. Slightly dust it. Alright. So I have here another silpat. We call this as actually a silpat or a silicone mat to roll out our dough, so it won't stick to our rolling pin. Start again. You want to roll your crust approximately around 1/4 inch thick. You do not want to be it too much thick or too thin. I find it a 1/4 inch thick will do. Alright, I think this is actually okay now. Right, I have here my baking pan. So this is, I think, around 7 inch. So I'm going to take my brush here, my silicone brush, and my butter, and grease my pan. Alright. And let's just take our pie crust. You want to work gently. And add it to your pan. You want to pinch the edges. Alright, so I'm going to take your scissors and just trim the edges. Alright, you can take the scraps and you can roll it again and use that as a crust or maybe as a top crust. And I have here a fork and I'm going to prick it like this. So this method is actually called docking, wherein you are pricking the pie dough using a fork or just can be a knife, you know, the tip of the knife that's sharp, right? So you can use that. By this, we are preventing the pie dough to have bubbles on it. Alright, so this is ready to be filled up with our filling. So I have here my buko filling, and let's just add it here. And as you can see, our filling is actually cooled now. And the reason why we let it cool down a bit, it's because once you add a hot filling to your crust, and eventually your crust will be soggy. Make sure to spread it evenly. Alright, I think this is okay, good. And I'm just going to set this aside.